Hey everyone, it is a great time for horror right now. Weirdly enough, it is the beginning of September, and Until Dawn, Stasis, Soma's out in a few weeks, and before we get to all that, I have to show you guys, and gals, and everyone on YouTube, Stasis. It's, let's go ahead and just kick it up right here, but, so this just came out this week on Steam, but you might be aware of it because if you follow my work at Giant Bomb, I did a worth playing video in which I checked out Stasis, and I believe I at least mentioned or highlighted them when they were raising funds on Kickstarter. But if you're familiar with old isometric 2D adventure games, then you're going to be excited about what they're trying to accomplish with Stasis, which honestly feels like this incredibly earnest throwback to Alien and other sort of like 1970s sci-fi in which it's sort of a utopian-esque future in which humanity is capable of doing so many great things, and yet humanity sort of undermines itself over and over again. If you're also familiar with Sanitarium, a game that I played a little bit of because I think I was obsessed with the PC Gamer demo disc version of Sanitarium, in which you played like a mental patient that was in a mental institution, and you were trying to get your way out, but it had a lot of horror overtones. And Stasis absolutely sort of continues in that sort of vein. Like, we'll get to the opening here in just a second. We're kind of getting sort of a tone piece here in the introduction cinematic that kind of lets you know, even the fonts, the way that the letters kind of come down. It's meant to be creepy. This is a horror point-and-click adventure game, and I just don't know if I can convey how exciting it is that between Until Dawn and this, it's as though 2015 said, Patrick, we're going to make games for you, and we're going to cram them all together at once, and you're just going to be a very, very happy boy. And Stasis, in the 3 or 4 hours that I have played so far, has done exactly that. I'm going to see if I can... Yeah, I'm going to see if I can go ahead and skip the rest of that intro, but, I mean, look at this. This game should not exist in 2015, and part of the reason that video games are so exciting in 2015 is the fact that people can go to crowdfunding models and say, you know what, this is the kind of game I want to make. Hopefully you want to play a game like this too.
Corporation Stasis plug suit. Please hold still while your biometric scans are completed.
Clearly he's not in good shape. There appears to be weird goo all over the ground that suggests he did not have a very good awakening from whatever capsule he found himself in.
Danger of heart failure. Danger of pneumothorax. Seek immediate medical attention. Medical data storage is damaged. Formatting quantum storage device. Plug suit quantum storage device is ready for physical record storage.
All right, so now we're in control of the game here, and it is very much what you might expect from a game that is harkening back to early 2000s, sort of late 90s isometric animated adventure games. You can mouse over different things in the environment. I really do wish that the text at the bottom was adjustable in terms of the size. I play on fairly large monitors, both on my laptop and on my desktop, and it can sometimes be sort of difficult to read what's there. And I'm kind of hoping they'll address that in a patch. But you can see like the world, kind of simple animations, but very, very hyper detailed, and really doing a lot of the world building by looking around the environment and kind of hovering over and saying, okay, well, Marichek, that seems like the tube that I came out of, so that gives me a sense of maybe who I am. I'm cryostasis interrupted, so obviously this was not supposed to happen, but it's pretty unclear what, if anything, was supposed to happen here. This is somehow I doubt this is how he was supposed to start his life.
Please seek immediate medical attention.
And so I've played much later into the game, and I also wanted to start from the beginning, which, if you've seen the Worth Playing video from a while ago, I think well over a year now, this is going to seem like pretty familiar territory, but, if you're playing games like this, a lot of the reason you're playing it is because you want to experience the story, you want to explore and solve the puzzles on your own, so I'm trying to be really careful here to just give a sense of the kind of game you're in for with Stasis, and to give it my wholehearted recommendation, because it has actually managed to scare me a couple of times. The atmosphere is just sort of generally tense, and the voice acting is pretty good, which is kind of like a make or break function for games of this type. Alright, so, and you can interact with all sorts of things. You can see, ooh, scary, that barrel moved. We'll come back to this other stuff once I am capable of running. At the moment, my guy is not in bad shape. The robot in this building is telling me that I should probably go and take care of myself. So, in doing so, I'll be able to show off a little bit of kind of how the puzzles play out. You see, like, you have different varieties of rooms. Like, this is just sort of a short room, but each of these rooms tells a story. It starts to inform a lot of what's happening, because you get the general sense of what's going on in Stasis by just sort of sticking to the plot and sort of like the linear thread and solving the puzzles that come your way. But in order to really understand the story of Stasis, and by that I mean sort of like the general what was happening on this ship before everything went so wrong, you do that by reading all of the little dialogue. You do or little descriptions. You do that by reading PDAs that show up throughout the environment. So I need to scan myself, but everything seems to be shut down. So I'm going to go over to this breaker box and see if I can solve a very simple early logic puzzle. This will look familiar to anyone that's played an adventure game before, especially one of this type. You see, if I try and turn everything on at once, it kind of busted. This wire just doesn't work entirely. Oh, actually, this one does work. Never mind. That's the one I want. So I go to this DocMate scanner, and that'll allow me to kind of get myself on the right path. But what's so cool about as this game goes on, and there's a limited. I don't want to say too much about the storyline, but so many of the characters in Stasis are not people per se. They're not actual humans you're going to be interacting with. A lot of the character development comes from going into a section that has been overrun by bad things, let's say, and then reading diaries, seeing what's painted on the walls, putting together a picture in your head of what happened here, what these people were like, and that is just so satisfying in a way that I don't know, just not a lot of games do these days. So many games kind of hit you over the head with their narratives, or I find that the way the diaries are set up don't make a lot of sense. And not to say that Stasis solves the problem of like people writing down their innermost thoughts and death moments or deathbed moments on PDAs, but nonetheless, it seems to fit this world in a way that I've really enjoyed learning more about it. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and pick this up. And there's my inventory. It's got a couple different options here. And it's nice because Stasis tries to address one of the problems with these types of games, it only giving you so many items to work with. Now, that's not to say that you still don't do pixel hunting. It's not to say that the puzzles don't always make a ton of sense, and often you'll just be dragging things on top of other things. But generally speaking, I have found Stasis to be fairly thoughtful in not getting caught in the same problems that a lot of these games did, in which they artificially lengthened themselves by having obtuse puzzles, or that the player was trying to second guess or get inside the head of the puzzle designer just to move forward. So it still runs into those problems, and you can combine things. But I have found that I've been able to continue moving forward. There hasn't been an issue in the first 3 hours or so where I have not been able to piece together what exactly I should be doing.
If you had bad dreams and you can't wake up that, you'll be stuck in them forever.
Well, I'll have a good talk to Sandy's parents.
But is it true?
Becca, Don't worry, you won't have any dreams for the entire trip. But if you do, just squeeze Teddy, and I promise they'll go away. Now legs up, lay down.
Now, if I remember the early demo they put up to promote their Kickstarter campaign, none of this was a part of what was happening. It might be because they hadn't exactly figured out what the backstory was even going to be for these characters. And
John,
I can at least say that these backstory scenes are not common in the game. In the 3 or 4 hours I've played, this is the only one I've encountered as far as I can remember. But it sort of sets up the emotional stakes of Stasis, in which you have a husband and wife and a child who was heading to somewhere, presumably not to this creepy, destroyed ship that is full of weird gunk and blood everywhere. And obviously you see sort of like 3 pods. These are not the pods that John Marichek came out of, so something went wrong during their travels, and it's not clear exactly what.
Go to sleep, my baby girl, in your warm bed. Soon you will rise again, so drift away, sleepyhead.
You know, you could have just told her that we're gonna have so many drugs in our system that we'll barely remember our own names.
Yeah. Somehow squeezing Teddy seemed a little more comforting than you'll be in a drug-induced coma.
We are almost done here. Do I get a Teddy?
You get a hug.
I want to be quiet for a little while there because I think sort of atmosphere and voice acting are critical for why these games rise above other ones.
My child.
And like I said, this sets up sort of, what is John after now? He wants to find out what happened to his wife and his child. Maybe they're somewhere else on this ship.
Vital medical functions have been restored to benchmark levels.
So let's see if we can do anything else with this breaker box. We're able to set up the dock mate. It seems like we've also got a robotic surgeon.
Robotic surgeon active.
Do that. I can kind of show off one of the basic puzzles for these games, and also, so again, like I said, Stasis tries to address some of the common complaints and problems with games like this in the past, and pixel hunting is one of them. You will still do pixel hunting in Stasis, and sometimes it can be kind of frustrating when you have to comb through the map all over again to try and find the one thing that you didn't investigate fully, or read a description that gives you a hint on what to do next. But for a lot of the major stuff, they do have these things where they're sort of like little sparkly bits that kind of give you a, hey, this is important. You should probably check this out. And so, there are a lot of these terminals that have backstory for the game. There are a lot of storylines that, or subplots rather, that sort of allow you to create a better sense of what was happening and when things were okay on this ship, what was happening on this ship, why this ship was maybe up to, let's say, some nefarious things. I don't think that's a spoiler. And then also how the various factions and the various departments dealt with the collapse of the ship as it kind of makes it to its current state. So like just to kind of show how they end up embedding puzzles into these terminals. So you'll see at the bottom here it says, the neural drill is stuck again. Every time I try to change it, the arm retracts. Please get maintenance to fix it. So this is connected to something we'll need later, but if I'm going to kind of, just to show how this works, this is a little bit out of order for how you do it. But if if I try and grab this, then it goes back. It retracts. Okay, so I'm going to head back to the little spot. Go back to surgery prep. Click organ extraction. I can now run, which is nice. It's not quite fast travel, but it's not bad either. So I'll go ahead and overload the unit, which means now it has lost power. But as a result of losing power, I can now head over to the robotic surgeon arm, and we'll see if something happens. Aha! So now I have a high-speed neural drill. So I think that's a pretty great example of how the game wants you to pay attention to everything that's happening in the environment, in which I guess you could put together that without realizing the storytelling that was. So you're getting, this combination of storytelling and character development for people you're probably never going to meet. Presumably, I've not beaten the game. I guess I can't know for sure one way or the other. But by paying, you learn about their stories. And it also sets you up for the puzzles in the game that allows you to solve something like that. There is no hint system, so you're not going to be able to just go, oh, I'm stuck. And presumably there'll be walkthroughs and game facts and things like that. But at least while I'm playing it and how I've been playing it right now, not a lot of help for you to move forward. These have, sort of... Let's see if we look at my name. John Marichek. Stasis pod acquired. Personal transport ship intercepted en route to Titan Station. Espenza, 1 of 3 stasis pods. Okay, so that lets me know that my family was brought with me, presumably, and it was a personal transport ship that was captured or at least intercepted in some way. Maybe something went wrong on my ship, but either way, that it kind of explains how we got here. And, you've got these other, if you keep going, cloning facility, blah, 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 blah. I don't want to spoil the story for people. Like, learning exactly what happened to the ship is, like, a huge part of playing this game, but we'll make our way through some of the other early sections. And it's just, I love the little attention to detail, these little spinning fans. Like, it's just, it creates a really creepy, unnerving atmosphere that only becomes more creepy, unnerving as things go along and you start to actually figure out what people were doing here, because they were up to no good, let's say. I don't think that's a spoiler.
Fuck, where the hell is everyone?
And so, you've got these different items that you can use. You can interact with, you can't interact with everything in the world. But I will say, Stasis passes, I'm going to go ahead and show you. Stasis Pass is one of my basic tests for games that let you interact with things, which is, can I flush this toilet?
Good to know the important stuff keeps on working.
Fantastic. So, you can see, you can kind of click around all these places. There's something important in this room, but I don't want to point out what it is because that's going to get a little further along. But, the game does encourage you, as many of these games do, to want to click on everything. So, if I click on this emergency glass box, break in case of emergency, and is there anything inside? Nope. The note inside the empty emergency box reads, due to budget cuts, the fire axe has been replaced with this note, have a nice day. However, again, as the game tries to point out things that are important to you, even though it doesn't bang you over the head with it, you'll see something is flashing here. Now I have a glass shard. That seems like that might be important down the line, even if I don't exactly know what I would do with it right now. Let's see if I go over to this admin computer. I can manipulate some of the... Can't open the freight elevator. Maintenance door I can unlock.
Notice. Maintenance doors unlocked. Lock will be engaged in 3 hours.
And you slowly start kind of working your way through this world and trying to understand how exactly you found your way here. It's weird because I'm being extremely cryptic. I'm playing a super early part of the game because what I have enjoyed so much about Stasis has been the discovery aspect, and so I just don't want to spoil that, folks, except that if you think you like these sorts of games, if you trust my judgment on some of this horror stuff, that I cannot recommend Stasis enough. Again, it does have some of the hang-ups of these adventure games, but it is just, to use a cliche, dripping with atmosphere. The characters are interesting, the voice acting is good, it's scary, the jump scares have gotten me more than a couple of times, even when I've been on airplanes. I was on a train home from PAX, and it got me to almost to basically drop my laptop. I got very close to stumbling on the floor on the train back to my apartment. So that's the kind of sort of punches it's going for every once in a while. Now, granted, it's not meant to scare you in the same way some other horror games are. It's more just a general unnerving tension, and that ratchets up more and more, like I said, as you discover the really awful things that have been happening here. But I'm gonna leave it at that. Stasis is available now on Steam for PC, Mac, and I think for Linux, and it's wonderful. It's a throwback that is also acknowledges the changes that have happened in game design since, and it's got working toilets. It really does have working toilets, and I think if that's the measure we're using for video games going forward, then I'm happy to say that Stasis passes the test. So Stasis is out now. It comes with my highest recommendation. Make sure and check it out.